Hello everybody! In my last violin teaching video, I talked about how doing interval identification exercises can really improve your intonation on the violin, but I didn't really explain how to do interval identification by ear. So I'm going to talk about that in this video. Basically what you do is you first memorize a list of songs and you memorize the very beginning interval of each of these songs. And then when you're tested on this, when you hear any given interval, you match what you hear with what you remember from your list of songs and then say, oh yes, it sounds exactly like this song, so I know it is this interval. And when you do this, it doesn't have to start on the exact same note as the songs that you memorize. What you're looking for is the spacing between each of the notes. When I first started learning interval identification, I started memorizing only a few intervals at once, so that way it's not too overwhelming. And then I added more intervals on top of that over time. I will have a link in the description of this video that will give a whole list of songs for each type of interval that you can use for these exercises. For the sake of the video, I am going through the intervals pretty quickly just to get the information out there. But of course, if you need to, pause the video, rewind, listen again, do whatever you need in order for you to learn the best. So starting with a minor second. So that's pretty easy to identify. The notes are so close together, right? Because it's only a half step. But if you do need a song to help you memorize what this interval sounds like, it'll sound like Jaws. Right? And it gets faster and faster, and then there's shrieking and screaming from all the horror from the sharks going after you. That's what it sounds like. And then the next interval, a major second. So this one to me just sounds like the beginning of a scale. Right? This is a minor third. Now to me, because I'm a Canadian, a minor third starts like the beginning of O Canada. Alright? And then the next interval, if we go a step up, would be the major third. Now this would sound like an arpeggio. Right? Or it could also sounds like When the Saints Go Marching In. Oops, wrong note there, but you get my point. And the next interval is a perfect fourth. Now to me, that sounds like We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Right? And then after a perfect fourth and before a perfect fifth is the tritone. It's a very icky sounding interval. Now for me, I didn't memorize a song for this. I just felt by process of elimination, it's kind of a smaller interval. It's smaller than a seventh, for example. And it sounds bad. So with that criteria, I know that's a tritone. And then after a tritone is the perfect fifth. Now for violinists, a perfect fifth is pretty easy to spot because our strings are a perfect fifth apart. So this is just our two open D and A strings. So for everyone else who isn't a violinist, how you recognize this is a perfect fifth is the start of Star Wars. And now for the minor sis. Now for me, again, process of elimination. I can hear a major sixth a lot better. So if I hear a minor sixth, in my mind, it sounds like a major sixth, but a little bit sadder. So if I push forward and then do a major sixth, to me, because I grew up on Vancouver Island, a major sixth sounds like the beginning of the BC Ferry logo, what they play every time just before they make an announcement on the ferries. They play that. Now, I realized when I moved to Calgary that is a very local, colloquial sort of sound that people know, and people who are not reliant on the BC ferries don't really know what that is. A song that you can use to memorize a major sixth is My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. Right? And going back to the minor sixth, you see what I mean? That it sounds like a sadder version of the major sixth. So this is major, and then minor. Yeah, so if you know the major sixth really well, you should be able to pick out the minor sixth pretty easily as well. And then next is the minor seventh. Now, to me, I can more easily pick out a major seventh than a minor seventh. So similar to the sixths, when I hear a minor seventh, I go, okay, it's a big leap. It doesn't sound exactly like the major seventh, and I know for sure it's not a major sixth. So therefore, it must be a minor seventh. Okay, so with that being said, let's go over the major seventh. And to me, a major seventh sounds like it wants to resolve. Like it has that really built up tension in it. See, there's the resolution there. So, the next one is an octave. And that's pretty simple to hear, right? But if you do need a song to help you memorize it, the song for that would be Somewhere Over the Rainbow. For the descending interval, so the intervals that are stepping down, what some people do is they first listen to the example, and then they flip the notes around in their head, and then they compare what they're listening to the original list of ascending interval songs that they have memorized. Now, some people can do this fairly easily, but some people can't. What some people do is they memorize a whole new list of songs for the descending intervals that begin with descending intervals. So let's first go over a minor second. So a minor second is pretty easy to hear, but if you can't, a song for that is Joy to the World. And then the major second. So for a major second, the song for it is Mary Had a Little Lamb. And then minor third. To me, that sounds like kind of like a ding dong. Ding dong. Or it kind of sounds like the child taunting song. So that's the minor third, and now for the major third. So for me, for the major third, I don't know a song for it. I just know that it sits in between the minor third and the perfect fourth, which both I have memorized songs for. So again, process of elimination. So then the perfect fourth. To me, that sounds like Ein kleine Nachtmusik by Mozart. Right? And then the tritone, again, that really icky sounding interval. So that one for me is pretty easy to spot simply because it sounds really bad. And I know that it's not a very big leap. And now the perfect fifth. The perfect fifth descending sounds like the Flintstones. So after a perfect fifth is a minor sixth. I remember when I was a kid, my teacher told me that the minor sixth sounds like the song Love Story, and it goes like this. The major sixth and both of the sevenths descending, I just am able to flip them around in my head. So here is a major sixth. So I would just flip it around in my head that way. So that way it would sound like My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean when I flip it. And then there's the minor seventh. I'll play that again. So I know that is a very large leap, but it's not quite a major seventh, and it's not a major sixth, so it must be minor seven. And the major seven. Whoops. Now for descending, I can tell that it is a very large leap, but it's not quite an octave. So therefore, it's a major seven. And then there's the octave. And here is one of many different interval identification softwares that you can use to test yourself. Here, if I click on the little speaker, it plays 2 notes, and you're supposed to guess what interval it is. What I find helps is if you also sing it out loud. Of course, if you are doing an exam, you're not allowed to sing it again out loud to yourself, but just for practice when you're just starting out, it does really help to start by singing the interval and then try to sing the rest of the song that you memorized and see if it works. Now, what does that sound like to you? To me, that sounds like O Canada. O Canada. And I know O Canada starts with a minor third, so I'm going to click the minor third. And next interval, let's hear that a second time. To me, that sounds like we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas. And I know that is a perfect fourth. That sounds to me like a major third because it sounds like the beginning of an arpeggio, also the same as When the Saints Come Marching In. Now that definitely is a semitone, so that's a minor second. Now, what does that sound like to you? That sounds like My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. So that is a major sixth, I know. Okay, now this one you should be able to get. Perfect fifth. Okay, now this is a tricky one. It sounds kind of icky, right? Now I can tell that it's somewhat-ish close together, but it sounds really icky. So that kind of eliminates it being a seventh, right? So I know the other interval that sounds icky, that is kind of small, is a tritone. Now, this to me sounds like it wants to be My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, but it is a bit sad, so I'm going to call that a minor sixth. Now that sounds like the beginning of a scale, which is a major second. And I think that is a minor seventh, because that is quite a big leap. But it isn't quite so big. Kind of tricky to explain other than it's my brain doing process of elimination. Let's hear that again. Now that sounds like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I think that is a minor sixth. To me, that sounds like Star Wars, which is a perfect fifth. And that was my video on how to identify intervals by ear. All the links and applications that I used in this video are in the description below. And if you liked this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.